Good morning, good morning, good morning. Nickolas DeJarnette here from PA Landscaping and Home Improvement LLC. I'm going to teach you how to make 6 figures in a single night doing snow removal. Yes, I said 6 figures. Yes, I said in a single night. I'm not selling you wolf tickets, not pulling your chain, not blowing smoke. 6 figures in a single night. But there are some details that you need to know, especially for beginners, on how to get this done. So I'm going to start off by just giving you a simple example, right? So a friend of mine calls me up. He has an opportunity to get like 10 or 12 commercial locations, right? And they were Family Dollars, if you're familiar with Family Dollar. So he had an opportunity to do snow removal for like 10 to 12 Family Dollars, but the company or the management company who was hiring him said, we need to make sure that you have general liability and that you have workers' comp. So he calls me up, he says, Nick, what do I do about this? Is there a way to get around that? I said, absolutely, there is a legal way to get around it. He says, well, what do I do? I said, first of all, you're a sole member LLC, correct? He said, yes, I am. Now, I'm just gonna say this very quickly. 99.9% of us who start our LLCs, we are a limited liability, we are a sole member, not sole proprietor, a sole member LLC company. We are a sole member limited liability company. What that means is this is before you turn your company into a C corporation or an S corporation, a C corp or an S corp, and you shouldn't turn your business into a C corp or an S corp unless you're already making hundreds of thousands of dollars. That just is what it is. So if you're first starting off, chances are 99.9% of the time, when you sign up, when you start your business with the Secretary of State and you get your LLC, you will be a sole member LLC, which means that you are exempt. I will say it again. If you are a sole member LLC, which 99.9% of us are when we first start out our companies, if you are a sole member LLC, you are exempt from workers' comp. So let's say a company wants to hire you to do a bunch of locations, like in my friend's situation, all you have to do is type up your own letter on a business letterhead that says, as a sole member LLC, I am exempt from workers' comp. They have to accept it because it's legal. You sign it and you date it. They have to accept it because that is the law. A sole member LLC does not have to have workers' comp. Does not. The next step he had to do as a limited liability company is that he had to make sure that he had general liability insurance. So general liability, don't be fearful. The most you can call up any insurance company. You say, I'm a snow removal company. I need general liability insurance. They might make you pay like $250 down, and then you could pay anywhere from $45 to $65 a month. That's it. You follow these steps, guys, and you cover yourself legally. You minimize your expenses, and you maximize your profit. Okay, so step 1 was he had to produce that letter saying that he's a limited liability, he's a sole member limited liability company who is exempt from workers' comp. They have to accept that document. Then he has to show proof of general liability insurance. He was able to do that. The next step, because it was 10 to 12 locations, they're saying, well, they're all in different towns. We don't want to hire you to do 10, like in a storm. We need all of our properties being done. You might be here for an hour, drive an hour, go over here, and it's going to take you 24 hours to get. And no, these are businesses. They need to be open. Customers need to be able to have access to go into these stores. Now you're messing with their money. So now he opens his mouth and he says, no, it's not just me. I have multiple trucks, and I have multiple guys who are going to be coming and providing these services. And they're saying, well, if you have multiple trucks and multiple guys, again, this is the way you get around it. Then that means you either have employees who work for you or you have independent contractors, right? Now, people think, it's a misconception, people think, and this works with your taxes, and people have been getting away with it for years, if you give somebody a W-9 to fill out, and then you issue them a 1099 at the end of the year, which your tax people, whoever does your taxes will do that, they'll issue them 1099s, then they think that means they're automatically an independent contractor. That is not true. It works with the IRS for a certain amount of time, but the true definition of an independent contractor is somebody whose time you do not control. So workers' comp will hunt you down. IRS will hunt you down. And why? Because that means you were cheating on your taxes. You should have had a payroll. You had employees, not independent contractors. And so the answer to all of this is if you control their time. So I explained to him, I said, if you create a list for your work, like say you create a list for your workers to go around, here's your list, it's gonna snow, go do snow removal. I don't control your time. If you give them a schedule, if you say you start at 6 and you end at 5, if you start at 2 in the morning, if you control their time, it don't matter if they filled out a W-9 and if you issue them a 1099 for your taxes, they are not considered an independent contractor. The way to get around that is the very thing that I have done for years, which is I don't give my workers a time, right? What I do is I give them a list and say, these are all the properties that you need to do when it snows in a snowstorm. I don't care when you start. I don't care when you end. Just complete the list. All I care about is that the work is done with quality work, and I train them properly to do the quality work. The work is done with quality work, and it's done in a timely fashion. So it doesn't matter if they're using my trucks. It doesn't matter if they're using my machinery. At the end of the day, they are independent contractors, and because I do not control their time, I have them fill out a W-9, I issue them 1099s at the end of the year, and I cover every aspect legally. So again, what is the definition of a true independent contractor? It's somebody who I end up paying more than $600 in an entire year, right? How do you get around that? Even with your taxes. How do you get around that? There's a thing out here in Massachusetts, in Boston. There are programs called Work-A-Day where you can hire people just for the day. You can go to any Home Depot and you could pick people up there at Home Depot, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. There'd be like 20 guys out there who need work. You can go pick them up, right? Some of these people are illegal. They need to feed their families too. I ain't hating on nobody. You need to feed your family. You need some good money. You need somebody who's going to treat you right and not be, racist and mistreating you because you may not have your papers or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, you're a human being, and I'm going to take care of you because that's what I'm put on this earth for. I'm not going to get deep. I'm sorry. I'll get off of that. But at the end of the day, there are people out there who have needs, and they're good people, and they're hardworking individuals. So at the end of the day, I'll hire these people, right? If you hire them for the day and you don't pay them more than $600, right? Then as long as you don't hire them again, then you don't have to issue them a W-9. You don't have to report them on your taxes. You don't have to have their name, their date of birth, and their social security number. You don't. So what does that mean? That means you can write off at the end of a year $100,000, $200,000 in labor that you paid, and they're gonna say, who did you pay it to? Right? And you're going to say, I paid it to people who work a day. That's going to happen in a storm. You're going to have snowstorms. You're going to randomly need to grab a bunch of guys because this storm may be so big that you don't even have a squad that's that big to handle it. So again, the way to get around that is as long as you don't pay them $600, over $600 in an entire year. People get it screwed up. Oh no, I paid them less than $600 in a day, and then you hire them again. You paid them another $500. You hired them again, paid another $500. That's already $1,000. You broke the rule. So I'll turn around and write off over $100,000, $200,000-$300,000 in labor that I don't even have people's names, dates of birth, or social security. This is all legal. This is all legal. Why is it legal that you don't need their name, date of birth, social security? Because I didn't pay them more than $600. And as long as I didn't pay them more than $600 in that whole year, whatever year it is, then I'm good to go. So they're gonna be, well, how do you pay $100,000? Because I got work-a-days. Because I went to work-a-day programs, because I went to Home Depot, guys needed some work. I needed to pay a laborer real quick. He may have made $200 or $300 that day, never hired him again. There's the answer to that. To go back to my guy, that's how you cover yourself. You do not need workers' comp. All you need is to write yourself a letter that you sign and date and make sure it's on a business letterhead that says, as a sole member, limited liability company, I'm exempt from workers' comp because you are. It's entirely legal. Now, this is the trick of it. But now when you have multiple guys driving your trucks, going to all these different locations, right, they have to be insured as well. How do you get them insured? Now, this is a different ball game. Again, the way to do that, let's say he gets all 12 locations, right? He covers 6 himself. He's good to go. He hires another buddy to do the other 6, right? So that buddy, all that person has to do is go get general liability. They get the same general liability insurance, pay $250 up front, maybe $45 to $65 a month. Now they're covered. All his driver has to do is add his business name as an additional insured and give him that document. So now when they look at it, they're going to be like, okay, you have general liability, so you're covered, and you're exempt from workers' comp. But you had somebody else driving another truck doing these other 6 locations. Yes, and he's an independent contractor who has his own general liability insurance, and then he just added my business name as an additional insured on his insurance, so now he's covered under my contract. Bam! This is game right here, guys. Why would you, if you're trying to have good prices, if you pay your workers peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. You pay your workers good. I pay my worker. My lowest paid worker gets somebody asked me last night, oh, what is your lowest paid driver get? I think my lowest paid driver right now gets paid like $35 an hour. My lowest paid shoveler would be like a young 17-year-old kid who just will go up and shovel the steps off while all the guys are using snow blowers and plows and whatever else. My lowest paid worker might be getting $20, $25 an hour as a shoveler shoveling off steps. There's no reason why you should be ripping your workers off, because there's so much money out here. I pay my workers big money. Why? They out here freezing. They out here in freezing cold temperatures. They out here getting wet. They out here, it might be sleet. It might be a 20, 30-hour storm you out on the road. I pay my workers good, and they love it. They love it. So again, this is game. This is game. This is game. In the course, I'm literally going to break this stuff down in you step by step. Why? Because you have to be able to save money. You have to be able to save money, especially when you're just starting off. You have to be able to save money. So you have to understand all the loopholes legally, so that you don't get yourself in any trouble. You have to understand all the loopholes so that you too can make 6 figures in a single night. Peace out. That was a lot of game in 12 minutes.